Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Winner by Default. Uh, Today I want to talk to you about Starfield, and I want to talk about Bethesda. And the reason why I want to do this is because I've had a lot to say about this subject for quite some time, and I feel like uh, there's just a lot of really bad opinions out there about this entire situation. Now there's a lot of information that I could delve into right now about Bethesda. I know Bethesda like I know my own fucking family at this point. I know Bethesda very well because I am a hardcore gamer. I have been playing video games um, since my uncle uh, first let me try a couple games on the Magnavox Odyssey. That's how far I go back. I had an Atari. Look at the goat. I've been around in fact, I would even argue that video games and the entire life of video games happened during my entire lifespan on this planet. And so I've watched them evolve. I've watched them go through many different periods. And what I could tell you emphatically is that I feel like there's just a lot of misconception about Bethesda and a lot of misconception about Starfield. For starters, there's a lot of people out there on the internet talking about how they fell off and this, that, and the third, and that they're not the same company that they used to be, and what is going on, and that Starfield is complete dog shit and all this stuff. And none of that is true. None of that is true. Now, what I mean by none of that is true is this. Is it true that Starfield Is it true that Starfield is not everyone's cup of tea? Absolutely. Did they know that when they made this? Absolutely. And I think that there's a lot of misconception where people believe, now this is coming from someone who's played literally every game that they've ever made since Arena. And I mean every game. I played Daggerfall, I played Morrowind, I played Oblivion, I played every game that they've ever made. And I've played Fallout, even Fallout, earlier renditions of Fallout New Vegas and all that. I have played every game they've ever made, and even the weird ones like Redfall, okay? And I could tell you unequivocally that they have not fallen off by any stretch of the imagination. What is happening, okay, is there seems to be a giant disconnect between fans realizing that games might not be for them versus them thinking that, maybe I'm not phrasing this right. People in a capitalist society, have a choice. They have a choice to buy things they want to buy. They have a choice to not buy things they don't want to buy. Not everything is for you. There seems to be a large group of individuals, mostly white men, and that's fine. It's not about race or color, whatever sex. I'm just saying it is mostly white men who tend to believe that video games need to all be for them. And they're angry when the games aren't for them. And they want to be upset, and they want to say, see, look it, this is why you suck. This is why you're failing. You're not meeting what we're asking. So there's a lot of that happening. But when in reality, it's just like, not every game is for you. There's other people who play video games. Like complaining that a main character in a video game is a black character, right? Like as if there aren't black people that play video games that might not want to play a black character. when they play it. There's just a certain psychosis that's going on, but I don't really want to make this video about that. That's another whole video. But what I do want to talk about is how this also seems to apply when it comes to talking about Bethesda. Because Bethesda, if people think that Starfield was supposed to meet the demand of people who played Elder Scrolls and people who played Skyrim and so on and so forth, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. If people thought that their whole thinking was, we're going to make a game called Starfield, and everyone who loved Elder Scrolls and everyone who loved Skyrim and everyone who loved, Fallout is going to want to play this game, you're absolutely out of your mind. Because Starfield is a different IP that is meant to serve a different audience. I happen to know for a fact that the reason why Starfield, well, I don't know this for a fact, but I do know that the timing seems awfully funny, that Starfield was announced shortly after Star Citizen had gotten so much hype. When Star Citizen had first, I believe it was 2000, I want to say, wow, is it really that long ago? I do believe it was like 2013. That's crazy that Star Citizen, I do believe it really was, though. It was like 2013. When they came out and they had raised a lot of money and there was excitement around space games and so on and so forth. And so there definitely was a lot of excitement around the idea of making a space game. There definitely was. And I think that Bethesda saw that market and they decided to go for it. And at the time, Bethesda was working under Miramax, and there was a moment when Tom. Wow. Todd. There was a moment when Todd Howard walked into Robert Altman's office and said to Robert Altman, "We're going to do it. We're going to brave the unknown here, and we're going to build an entirely new intellectual property. What do you think?" And Robert Altman gave him the thumbs up. And that's exactly what they did. Now, does that mean that, what do you mean? Elder Scrolls fans wanted an Elder Scrolls game, and then they, we wanted ES6, and they come out with Starfield? Well, guess what? They made a different game. They're making ES6 now. They do their market research. They have incredible, impeccable market research data, and there's probably internal reasons why they decided to wait. I'm a big, gigantic Elder Scrolls fan. I'm not crying. I played Starfield, and I liked it. I liked Starfield. In fact, I'll be honest, I thought it was a lot better of a game than people give it credit for. It's lacking in certain areas that piss me off. It's lacking in certain areas that really upset me. And I'm going to tell you what those areas are right now. One of the major areas that it really, really, it was a huge turnoff, was base building. And the reason why that is because for me, base building, especially with a space game, are you kidding me? We are exploring all around space and you're landing on all these planets and you're doing all this stuff and you're collecting all these resources. I mean, that's the entire idea, is to base build. There was a quote that somebody from Bethesda had said. I don't remember who it was, but the quote was something to the effect of, what's the point of having a good story when people just want to explore and build bases? Yeah, there's a gigantic market of people that play space games for those reasons, guys. That's what you guys need to understand. Maybe that's not you, but that's fine. The game isn't for you. And the idea that, well, Starfield is terrible because we were expecting Elder Scrolls 6 and we were expecting, Fallout 5, and instead we got this crap. And it's like, well, guess what? Why were you expecting Fallout 5 when it's not Fallout 5? Why were you expecting Elder Scrolls 6 when it's not Elder Scrolls 6? It's Starfield, a new video game to meet a new demographic, to sell a new IP onto a new market. It's not for you. What part of that doesn't make any sense to you? I can't seem to wrap my head around how you don't understand that. Now, what my problem is with base building, the land mass is too small. You don't really get to build over large areas. It's really upsetting. I was one of the biggest supporters of this game because I happen to love space games. And I'm obsessed with space. I'm a bit of a space nerd. You guys will get to know that as I go on. But I can't even begin to tell you that it's upsetting to me that you get all these resources, you land on this planet, it's magnificent, and then you get this tiny little circle, this tiny little building area that's not even big enough to build really anything. You put down a couple of these makeshift bases, which is another one of my complaints, these prefabs that they make. And the prefabs are dog ass. And what I mean by that is ultimately that the prefabs, they're not that they're bad, but that there's just not a lot of options. And it's very upsetting to me. And had they put a lot more emphasis on building and giving us more than just like, fucking 12 things in each category to put down, it would have been more exciting. It really was upsetting because that really killed it for me. It killed it for me that they didn't have incredible houses that were already pre-made houses that you could buy that had awesome views that were by oceans or, like well thought out things that let you get immersed, things that allow you as a player to like land on a planet and feel like, wow, I live here. This is my planet. Like I settled this. I mean, that feeling would have been absolutely fantastic. It really would have been. And it's really annoying that I didn't get to have that feeling because that was the feeling I was looking for. These people that complained, well, you need an ATV, and then they put an ATV in the game. I don't give a fuck about an ATV. Have one, don't have one. That doesn't make or break shit for me. And then there were a lot of people that wanted different spaceship modifications. And yeah, that's exciting. I don't mind spaceship modifications. The more options, the better. The more options, the better. Now, all that being said, am I here to kiss the ass of Bethesda and act like they've been perfect? No. I do think that there is something to be said for them relying more on the modding community to make their games better, and add creative things to their games. That's a little frustrating. But on the same token, I understand as a businessman, because I am a businessman, I am an entrepreneur, I own a company myself, and I know sometimes you just got to make decisions that obviously are good for the bottom line. And if you can get a bunch of modders to get excited about your game and make a bunch of content, and you don't have to pay for it, then why wouldn't you take advantage of that? So there is that. And I guess maybe because I'm mature adult who understands business, that doesn't really bother me that much. What I do know, though, is that this sort of results in speculation that, they keep relying on their engine too much. They're just going to put out another game. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to just be another whatever game because it's just going to end up being, like it's just going to end up being like another Starfield, Fallout, the same kind of thing and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you mean the recipe for success that they've had? Hello, they're using an engine. Their engine only does what it does. I mean, it's utterly absurd. It would be like mad. It would be like getting mad because, what's an example? From Soft, like imagine if like From Software put out another game and you were mad because it's too much like Elden Ring. It's too what? Like another Souls game? Oh, another. It's like, yeah. And it's kind of funny to me that the same crowd that's constantly being like, I want another Souls game. I want another Souls game. I want another Soul. There's like 40 games all copying the same fucking thing. Every one of the, what's it called? Sekiro, or whatever it is, the Sekiro game. I'm bad at recall, by the way. I'm getting old up there in the years, so you're gonna have to forgive me if I fuck things up. But yeah, Sekiro, I think it's called, or you've got that, and then you've got like the Demon Souls game, and then you have the what's it called? Tainted something or other. I mean, it's like every fucking day. What's the other one where you could freeze into a stone shell? Like it's called my God, I'm having trouble like recalling all the names of these games. My brain is, I'm also on very little sleep, so you'll have to forgive me, guys. But the bottom line is that there is a new Souls game every day, and you guys are loving it and eating it up. Oh my God, another game that does the same thing as the last 10 games I've played. But then you want to shit on Bethesda because they're putting out a game that's the same as the last games they played. Just admit you changed. Just admit you changed your interest. Just admit it. Because, there's an old saying somebody once told me, because I come from the entertainment industry. I was in the music industry for a long time. And I remember people used to say they were only a fan of the meal and not a fan of the chef. And what that meant to me, and what I believe that does mean universally, is that when you are a fan of the chef, you are all about innovation, new ideas, new things, because you believe in the creativity and in the mind of the chef. But if you are only a fan of the meal, then you're not going to want to be, you're not interested. You're going to eat the next meal and be like, I don't like this. I like the other meal. But the chef doesn't want to put out the same fucking meal over and over and over again. You know what I mean? But in this case, when you have a meal that millions of people seem to like just the way it is, and we know that you guys are fickle like that, because look at the way you are about Souls games. You guys can't wait to play the next Souls game that comes out that does the same exact fucking thing as the last 12. You can't wait. So clearly, when you like a certain taste, that's what you want. And Bethesda has a group of people, millions, I'm one of them, that like what they do. I like what they do. When I turn on a Bethesda game and I get to be this character and I could see my hands and I could crouch and walk up to a lock and pick it, and I could move around and stab somebody or pick their pockets, or I could I like it. I like the game. I like the way it's designed. I like the style. That's their MO. That's what they do. That's what their engine does. And I'm a fan of what they do. Okay? So I'm a fan of the meal. I think a lot of people are a fan of the meal. Do you really want to see a fucking Bethesda game come out where they're trying to pull some shit that like you're seeing happen in Crimson Desert? You really want Bethesda to put out a game where you're in third person now and you're running around grappling hooking stuff and flying? No. In fact, everybody who ever played a Bethesda game would go, what the fuck is this? Because they have a style. It's no different than if somebody likes, Lil Wayne, or if somebody likes Eminem, or if somebody likes Nicki Minaj, right? Or Drake, okay? If you like Drake, you like Drake. You don't want to hear Drake come out with a song tomorrow that sounds like Eminem. You'd be like, I'd go to Eminem for a game that sounds like or for a song that sounds like Eminem. It's the exact same thing. So in the video game industry, it doesn't make any sense to compare Bethesda to Souls games and other people's stuff and say, oh, they're not innovating, they're not doing what they do. No, dude, they're doing the exact same thing they've always done, and they are adopting new technologies as they come out, and they are embracing new systems, new technologies, so on and so forth. All of that has been happening. I'm sorry, there we go. All of that has been happening. They have been fully embracing all new innovations. And they've been trying to find a way to continue to do what they do while embracing those innovations. And the bottom line is if you pick up their game now, after you've played Souls games, after you've played maybe you played, some online games or whatever you've been getting into, some survival games, maybe you played Forest for the last 6 months or whatever it is. The games you've been playing have changed your mind. They have changed your mind, okay? So you now play a Bethesda game and go, oh, I don't like it. That's not because they did anything wrong. That's because you changed. And that's okay. There are people that will. But there is a whole lot more people who like what they do and want them to continue to do what they do because that's what's on brand for them. I'm not trying to make music references, but 50 Cent is in a beef right now, I guess, or something with somebody, and he released this song, and it sounds just like quintessential 50 Cent from like 2000, what was it, 4 or whatever, that era of time, 2005. And everybody's mad. And everybody's like, oh my God, what the hell? This is not it. This sounds like some old 50 Cent shit. Like, right. That's because he has a sound. He's not going to do something that sounds different just because times have changed. People go to them for the meal. They're not expecting them to be chefs and invent new stuff every single day. Okay, and be coming up with there's a meal that they love. When you go to a certain restaurant because you love a certain meal, you go there because you love a meal. You don't want to go there one day and find out they decided to add twice as much sauce and they decided to put cumin all over everything as an experiment. You'll be pissed. You'll be like, what are you doing? I came here for what I know works and what I like. And that's exactly what Bethesda is doing. And for those of you who don't like it, and want to say that they fell off or whatever, my God, Microsoft bought them for a reason, okay? They're not falling off. Microsoft wouldn't buy a dying, failing company. I mean, let's be real, okay? So please stop with the bullshit, okay? Todd Howard is one of the greatest video game developers ever, of all time. And granted, he's not as hands-on with all the games maybe coming out now because they're taking on a lot more than, biting off more than they could chew. Regardless of that, the fact of the matter is not a single game that comes out of Bethesda Studios is going to suck. It's not going to happen. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of gamer podcasters, because I watch a lot of them a lot, talking like, ES6 is going to suck. It's going to be another Starfield. It's going to be... No, it's not. And I know for a fact it's not because the stuff that's already come out about it. Like comments about how they decided to completely revamp the magic system because they thought it was old. The guy in charge of it literally told Todd Howard, I think that the magic system is terrible. So I don't want to, we need to reinvent it. They're definitely going into directions. They know that new games are coming out. They know that new technologies are coming out. They know that they could push the envelope. Todd Howard has said numerous times, I've always wanted larger, more immersive cities. He's always wanted that. He's always hated the fact that, like in Skyrim, for instance, when you went to, see what I mean? My recall is so bad. Oh my God. The city there in the Northeast. I can't believe that my memory is so shot right now. I can't recall anything. It's so bad. Anyway, see, like little things like this are going to just irritate me. Whatever. But anyway, I'm just overtired. I'm on 5 hours of sleep and I can't recall anything. Anyway, he was upset that those cities were so small. He wants large, immersive, and expansive cities. He wants the kind of cities that you're seeing in games like, he wants it to be uh, uh, more like a sort of like a, I guess you could say, from what I'm gathering from the comments that he's made, kind of like a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 meets a Crimson Desert. So like you still have that first person, that ultra realist, like really incredible, like vibrant, and cities immersive and towns are big and you feel like you're totally going in them and so on and so forth. I think he wants that. At least that's what I've heard him say. So knowing that the technology is there now, knowing that they can use certain AI technologies to help aid in certain areas where they can like really take advantage of technological breakthroughs and so on and so forth, knowing that computing processing power, engines are getting better. They've revamped their engine. The Starfield just revamped its engine. They're like the engine, or I guess Bethesda just revamped their engine that they used to create Starfield. So there's already a lot of things that they're planning on doing differently in this game. And the idea that they're just going to come out with some raggedy muffin Starfield wannabe and call it Elder Scrolls 6, you guys are out of your fucking mind. You're out of your mind. You're haters. You're talking out of your ass. You played Elden Ring and now you're fucking, you're sour. It's like you had an amazing girlfriend and she was incredible for you, but then you went out and you hooked up with this really hot stripper, and now all of a sudden you just can't you just can't appreciate the woman you're with. You changed. You changed. Bethesda did not change. Bethesda is doing what they've always done, and they do a great job. Now, they've done some things I don't like. Fallout 76, garbage. I don't like the world. The game itself is pretty good, but the world is the most hideous thing I've ever seen. I could sit and I could point out lots of things Bethesda did that I didn't like. I'm not sitting here trying to kiss their ass, but I am getting tired of the nonsense that's just constantly being spouted off about this business and this organization. We need to be grateful for Microsoft. They are trying to do everything they can to keep video games relevant. And that's really true. They were smart to buy out ZeniMax and Bethesda. There's going to be a lot of amazing things coming down the pipeline, I think, from that absorption. And I think that it's a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing. And I think that we all have a lot of beautiful things to look forward to in the future with that. And I think that the more money they make, I mean, AI helping, we all know AI can do a lot of programming now. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they're just going to make games with artificial intelligence and put out like fully AI built games or any kind of crap like that, which we're on the cusp of being able to do now. But I do think, and I could see them doing this, them increasing their productivity rapidly. So the days of it taking 6 to 7 years for the next Fallout, 6 or 7 years for the next or the next Elder Scrolls game, and now maybe another 6 or 7 years for the next Starfield. I think all these games could simultaneously be made with the use of AI without them having to incur extra expenses or larger development teams. I could see a lot of these games coming out in much faster time frames. And that's what kind of excites me. So I'm not saying like look, I enjoyed Starfield. I don't think it's a very perfect game. I got bored after a while. It kind of felt a little bit like the game loop was a little redundant. Some of the procedural locations kind of get old after you've seen them enough. Little things like that. Obviously you have a game company that's known for building incredibly dense worlds, making a space game that is going to, if you're going to make it realistic to space, is going to be 90% barren planets. So I think that just by that in large, you have a lot of gamers that are like, well, I really wanted an immersive world, and instead I'm on a barren planet, which is the exact opposite of an immersive world. But it's like, yeah, but it's a space game. What exactly did you expect them to do? And it's not like the technology's there where they're going to roll out 4 or 5 completely handcrafted planets. Like, it's not there yet. I mean, even Star Citizen, which is, I would argue, probably on the cusp of the most futuristic video game ever made, if it ever actually gets put out or made or whatever. I mean, I know people are alpha testing it and so on. I don't know if it's ever going to get finished. Whatever, that's a whole other thing. But even they, like, if you see that they, I mean, yes, they have fully explorable planets that are like planet-sized planets, but 90% of the space on those planets, 99.999%, is nothing. They just build a really immersive city and then everything else is nothing. I mean, what exactly are you supposed to do? It's a space game. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyways, that being said, Starfield was a resource game. It was a fun game. It ran its course. I know now they're talking about wanting to put out some new things to try to get it be exciting. I think one of the things that really kills it is if you look at the map, okay? If you look at the map of let's say Skyrim, you go into map mode and you're scrolling across the map. You're looking at Riften, and then you scroll left, and now you're up in like Winterhold and whatever. You could click, and then boom, you teleport, you fast travel to that place, right? All they did was take that infrastructure and change, and instead of it being markers on a map, there were stars in space. So it's the same map. If you play Starfield and zoom out and look at the map, it's the same thing. It's just stars in space, dots, and then you click them. But instead of clicking them and then arriving, in a place in first person view, you arrive right outside the planet, and there's that sort of mini game of I'm going to scan the planet and this and that, right? And then you could land on the planet, which is then another click. And then now you're in first person and you're in an explorable world. So they added that sort of middle ground there that wasn't there in Skyrim. And that's kind of what made it annoying. It was a lot of clicking, a lot of fast travel. It didn't feel explorative because you're not flying through space. You can't just go fly around in space. It was my understanding that they were supposed to change the engine to help in that regard, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that there's been some new statements out that there's not really going to be anything like that, which kind of sucks. And so that's where I think it failed is as a space game. You can't have a space game and not give people space. And that's what they did. And so I'm not 100%, big on Starfield. But I don't think that all this negative hoopla that people have about Bethesda and falling off and all this stuff is necessary. It's just ridiculous and totally absurd. Anyway, that's all my thoughts on this. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm going to be doing this every day. I love talking about video games. It's literally my favorite thing on the planet. And I'm going to be here every day talking about something. So if you want to follow, hit that little sub button, hit the like button, and, leave a comment, talk smack, make fun of me or something. I don't care. It's cool. I've heard it all. You're not going to say anything to me I haven't already went through in high school. Anyways, this was fun. I'll be here tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your